So the piece is called Ostinato Fantastico. Essentially, it's a repeated rhythmic pattern, and a piece is sort of an exploration of many, many different ways to exploit a repeated rhythmic pattern like that. And it's based on a lot of my favorite pieces for orchestra, particularly a lot from the 20th century, some composers that you might be familiar with, including Rimsky-Korsakov, who's also featured on the same concert.
Hmm.
And, it was just a really exciting journey to write something that was really demonstrating as many different orchestral techniques as I could and many different exciting ways to exploit the orchestra.
I wonder if you have a couple like specific, really favorite moments that we can that we can highlight for the listeners.
Absolutely. The beginning is kind of fun just on its own. I like the simplicity of it, of just this kind of heavy, intonation of just the main beat there. And kind of as it goes on, I really like how it sort of gets into the middle section of the piece. It uses a technique we call metric modulation, which is just a fancy way to get to a new tempo, but to try to kind of conceal that as much as possible. So it sort of like jars you into being in this new tempo there. And so, yeah, I particularly liked that one. That's kind of, if you're listening closely there, you might hear a little bit of Star Wars in that one. There's a particular little section that's a little bit like that, but it's where John Williams was actually ripping off Stravinsky. So you can sort of decide how much of those two composers I borrowed from there. So I like that section a lot, and it kind of culminates with a really big final statement that almost feels a bit like a tango. I tried to sort of have a little other sort of flavor there, not just the sort of more asymmetrical things that are happening. So I like that a lot. I like the ending a lot too. I'm all about trying to make that as intense and exciting. So yeah, I wanted to have like a nice fun tambourine part for the last section there to be as exciting as possible. So.
And what do you hope people take away from listening to this piece? How do you want them to be on the other side of it?
I just hope that they're a little bit enthralled and thrilled by it. I just tried to make the piece as absolutely exciting as possible that I could make that happen. And I hope that you just listen to the piece and it makes you sort of want to get up and dance a little bit.